Dear Diary, making the decision to immigrate to Calgary felt like I was placing an Amazon order for freedom, endless possibilities, social security, and a beautiful world of seamlessly integrated multiculturalism. Only instead of autofilling my credit card information, clicking buy now, and receiving my package the next day, I spent months filling out paperwork and acquiring various documentations. And I spent years waiting for my visa. And when my metaphorical package finally did arrive, it wasn't exactly what I ordered.
We're Onya and Tomi, and on Diary of a Niger Immigrant, we're talking about what happens after you buy that one-way ticket. We'll chat with guests and hear their immigration stories. We'll commiserate, celebrate wins, and gossip about recent microaggressions. Buckle up, y'all.
Today we have a very special guest.
Yes.
A tall glass of water. She doesn't like to drink any other thing apart from water, so I'm just going to call her a tall glass of water. An beautiful black African woman. She is the CEO of an African store in Calgary called Morel's Oasis, and she's obviously an immigrant, a first-generation immigrant, and yeah, we're so happy to have Ejemen with us.
Thank you.
So, basically, I just introduced you, but I'm sure there's more to you than everything I have just said. So could you just tell us, give us a brief history of the life and times of Ejemen?
So my name is AJ. I moved to Canada about 8 years ago. And yes, I run an online African store, and we've been in operation it'll be 3 years in October.
Okay, I think this is the Diary of a Niger Immigrant podcast, so we are really, really interested in just hearing your immigration story. And yeah, so would you mind kind of taking us a little bit back to, it's so hard because when we talk about immigration journey, I feel like it starts way, way, way before you get here. But if you can kind of take us back to that process from you for kind of deciding that you were going to make the move, buy that one-way ticket, to the process of applying and everything to actually getting here. Just take us through that a little bit.
Well, I've been kind of like a serial immigrant because I left Nigeria in 2009.
Okay.
And then I moved to the UK.
Yeah.
So the journey was, my plan was move out to the UK, get my master's, and then stay in the UK.
Okay.
And just continue my journey. But then we moved to the UK and it didn't quite pan out the way I got there, got married there. And my husband is an engineer and he thought he would get a job in the UK. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, he didn't. Rather, he was picked up by the Middle East. He got a job in the UAE. So we moved from the UK and then we moved to the Middle East.
Wow. Okay.
And then we lived there for about 4 or 5 years now. I'm not sure about that. And it was beautiful. We loved it there. Yeah. However, it doesn't matter how long you live in the UAE, you can't integrate into the society because we don't speak Arabic, we're not Muslims, and you just don't integrate as much. Okay. And we wanted somewhere where our kids could integrate, be part of the society and just enjoy living. Yeah. And we thought, why don't we try Canada? Mm-hmm. And we did, and it was good, and we came here.
Wow. What year was that? Canada?
Moved here?
Yeah.
We got 2014.
Oh, wow. Almost 10 years. So
yeah.
9 years.
Yeah, so we got 2014. We came in 2015 for a few months, went back, and then came back in 2016, and we've been here since.
Interesting.
Nice.
That's such an interesting journey of going, coming to the UK, then going to the Middle East, then going to Canada.
Everywhere.
Yeah, really. And that is so great. I'm sure you have such fascinating perspectives. Did it feel like you were settled and found a home in all of those places, or what was that? What did that feel like?
In the UK, yes, because most of my family is in the UK, so it was easy to settle. It was beautiful. But in the UAE, no. I didn't even make any, I made 1 or 2 friends, but it never felt like home. It just felt like somewhere we're transiting through.
Yeah.
And when the transit was over, it was time to move on. Do you get? It didn't feel like home.
Yeah.
However, Canada felt like home from the minute we set our foot in here.
Really?
Yeah, we met the most amazing. So we came here, And the first night we woke up in the morning, we got here in the middle of the night, and then we didn't know where to get anything. We couldn't find, so we came out of we booked like an Airbnb, like here. It's these service apartments. And then we came out the door with my daughter, who was about 3 years old at the time. And we didn't know, like, where do we turn to? Where do we get stuff? And then we just saw this guy outside. He was like, oh, you guys look lost. And we're like, yeah, well, we're trying to find a store. Where can we get groceries? What can we eat? And this guy took us to, he was like, oh, follow me. Went down to the parking. He was a Japanese guy. Went down to parking, threw us, all three of us in his car.
Wow.
Took us to get us breakfast at Denny's.
Really?
God, that's so
And
nice.
from there, he took us to, I think it was Superstore. No, it wasn't. It was Safeway.
Okay.
Took us to Safeway, and we bought everything we needed. He showed us all the good things to buy, and then took us back home. And I was like, God, Jude. My husband's name is Jude. I was like, Jude, I'm never leaving this place. If people can be super nice,
That is
Yeah.
really sweet.
I couldn't. And as a Black person, you're conditioned to not expect anything kind or nice from people from other races, because you just assume that they almost automatically think the worst of you as soon as they see you. So for this guy to have gone out of his way to be so nice, and I thought, maybe here the automatic thought for me as a Black person, for people won't see me here and just automatically think Black bad or Black criminal or Black, that kind of thing. So it just felt really nice and different, and we didn't go back.
Wow.
That's
That's nice.
That is
Yeah.
amazing.
So,
Wow, I love that.
what route did you come in through, if you don't mind me asking?
At the time, it was called FSWP.
And what does that mean?
I don't know, Federal Skilled Workers Program. I
Oh,
think
okay.
it wasn't the express entry
Yeah.
thing. It was the long route. You put in the application paper, and then you post it, and then you wait for them to hear back from you. And that was it. There was no online. You couldn't track it. It was just paper. It was a paper
Wow.
application,
Yeah.
and that's what we did.
So then, what was your status right now? What's your status, and how did you get to where you are right now?
Oh, we came in as permanent residents.
Okay.
So you apply as FSWP, and you come in as a permanent resident. So
Okay.
myself and my husband and the daughter, we came in within 3 years after we applied for our passports.
And you
So
got
we're
it.
Yeah,
So is it fair to say that you've had a fairly smooth
straightforward.
transition?
Yeah.
That's
So
awesome.
Yeah.
yeah, that's really nice. Like it feels like we're always having sad stories. And everything. Like,
Yeah, I'm like,
there's something
I
good
love
coming
it.
out from, which is really nice,
Okay.
right?
I know
Like,
sometimes it's bumpy for some people. They come in
Yeah.
as students, or they come in with
Yeah,
work permits.
yeah.
And no, we didn't have to
Wow.
do all of that. I want to say we're lucky. I don't know. It was
You're blessed.
blessed, I guess.
I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah.
That's so great.
Wow. So like, apart from you guys, because you moved here with how many kids?
One.
We one child, and
And we've
apart
multiplied
from
since
you
then.
guys, multiplied since then.
Yeah. How many do you have now? Sorry, I keep
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I've got 3.
You have 3. Okay.
Okay,
Awesome.
they didn't really multiply as much as I
No,
expected.
they did.
Well, 1 times 3.
Well-
Saying something.
Yeah. So apart from how your daughter was 3, from what she said, right?
She turned
When-
3 here.
Okay. So apart from you finding it easy and everything, how do you think your daughter found it? Like, how was it for her? School, I'm sure she didn't start
No,
school.
she was
like,
too young
daycare.
to even know the difference.
Understand
Yeah.
anything. So
She was too young. So when we got here, I was pregnant at the time. So she didn't start school for a while. She was at daycare, not daycare, what's the other one called? Preschool. So she didn't start preschool until the baby was born. And she was happy to be out of the house. And she was happy. Like, I don't think she noticed the difference. However, she was in preschool in, what's it called? In Dubai. And she had begun to speak Arabic.
Oh really?
So when she got here, she was still saying a few Arabic words. So, so when she got to preschool, yeah, once in a while she wants something, she'll say it in Arabic and all of that. But then after a while, she got used to the
Yeah.
everyone. No, she was speaking English anyway,
Yeah.
but she'll confuse some of her
those
Words.
That's
Yeah.
there,
Yeah.
with Arabic and things like that. Otherwise, I don't think. No, she doesn't even remember if she ever lived anywhere else but Canada.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
She's okay.
I feel like from the 5 minutes that I've known you,
Yeah.
you strike me as like a pretty easygoing person.
I try.
And just like, you seem like you just kind of go with the flow a little bit. So I'm curious to know if you experienced like culture shock going from, you went from Nigeria to the UK and to Dubai. So did you experience culture shock, or did you feel just it was pretty easy to kind of go with what surrounded you? I know my parents, when they moved, they said with the culture shock that really hit for them was not Nigeria to Canada, but it was the East Coast to the West Coast in Canada. Oh. And so sometimes it's like not even the cultures that you're expecting that hit you. So curious to know if you had any of that.
I think I experienced the culture shock per se. So I think, the thing for me was the struggle with having to call, because my lecturers and my teachers calling them by name. Maybe that was it, because it was just funny. I was like, okay, look, the grey hair, I have to call you Steven or something. Not just like.
That's funny.
But apart from that, I don't think there was anything else. But in moving to the Middle East, of course, it was different. The one that hit the most for me was the fact that men couldn't talk directly to me. So let's say, we had an apartment and we had issues with the apartment, and then myself and my husband went to talk to the apartment manager, and then my husband would say something and he would respond to him, and then I'll say something and he'll go mute, or he would look at my husband and respond. And then I was like, I didn't understand what was going on. So I was like, why don't you ask him why he's not responding to me? Like, I'm talking to you. And he was like, oh, tell your wife to tell you what to tell you to stop to me. And I'm like, oh, that's strange. So he didn't look at me. He didn't respond. Never responded directly to me. And also, while we're there, I also started a business because
you started a business there too.
So I had. So then we started a business. I sold fabrics.
Okay.
Wow.
So it was called Oasis Fabrics. And then I had to open an account. And they said to me, no, I couldn't open an account. I'm like, why? He said, one, you're not working and you're a woman. So if I had to open an account, I had to come in with my husband. I laughed that they almost died. I'm like, what?
Wow.
They're like, no, if you're not working and your employer is paying you money into your account, then you don't have any business having an account without the permission of your husband. So I had to go home and bring my husband, really.
Yeah.
Before I could open an account. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
It was the strangest thing.
That would be quite the shift.
And I consider myself like a very feminist, and I've always been. So I felt this affront and anger, and but then how many of those kind of fights will I have? Is their culture?
Exactly.
So you have to pick your battles, right? No matter how feminist you think you are or stubborn, at some point it's their culture. I couldn't, I needed an account. And it wasn't a hill I was wanting to die on. So I brought the man and they filled the form and I had an account. But it just felt...
Yeah, that was
very weird. Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
So now, speaking of being a serial entrepreneur, like this has led us to the next question, because you started a business back in UAE and now you started a business here in Canada afterwards. You own an African store called Morel's Oasis. And then, like, what led you to start an African store? Because when you came, I'm just wondering, did you start any other job? Did you work somewhere else? What was the transition into starting an actual business here?
So the first year I was here, I didn't work because I had a new baby and all of that. But I started to apply for jobs. So my master's is in psychology, so I started to try to get, so it's psychology of HR, it's called management psychology. So I wanted to work either in HR or in psychology. But the process to get licensed as a psychologist here was too much. And I really was done with reading books, to be honest. I was done. I'm still done. So I thought, you know what, maybe not psychology, maybe do HR or coaching and all of that. So I started trying to find jobs. But it turns out that the degree I had or have was quite specialized, and it wasn't very well known in Canada at the time. And because I spoke to someone else, like I found mentors, and she also said she struggled. She also had a degree in the UK. It's a big thing in the UK, the whole organizational psychology thing. It's big, coaching, setting up assessment centers. It's huge. I don't know if they even have assessment centers in Canada. So all those skills that I learned and I worked with in the UK, because I worked for a couple of months before I moved out, they were not, I didn't know what to do with them here. And so I couldn't get a job in HR because my degree is not HR per se. I couldn't work in psychology because I was not licensed. So I got a job coaching in a not-for-profit organization for a while. And then I think it was for about a year or so. But I left. When I left, it wasn't, I wasn't feeling it. Okay. And then soon it was time to have my third baby. And so I had the baby and I was home for my mat leave and all of that. And I didn't know what to do with myself. And I thought, also while I was working, actually, I studied Amazon. So I was selling on Amazon.
Okay.
And it was doing well. So I was selling on Amazon Canada and it was doing well. And then someone said to me, you know what, you make more money if you sell on Amazon US. Whew. Not a good decision. So I packed up all my stuff, packed up all my money, all that stuff from China and moved it to Amazon US.
What were you selling?
I sold bento boxes and scarves. And it was doing really well in Canada, really. I shouldn't have listened to that person. But he wasn't out to ruin me. He just just thought, oh, if you're doing so well here, US is a bigger market, maybe do that. And maybe I should have split my inventory and continued here, but I just packed up and then moved everything to the US, and it was a massive fail. And so I was like, you know what, I'm not going to do any business again. I've had enough, blah, 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 blah. And then while I was home after mat leave, I sat down and I'm like, you know what? So the truth is, all the time when I was a child, I would come home to an empty house because both my parents were working. And I remember then I used to tell myself that I didn't want my kids to ever come home to an empty house. So that, I don't know, anything can be happening. They can be running anything can be happening and they come home and there's no one home. I feel like children should come home to a parent to how was your day, what happened, just someone to talk to. Don't have to go into the kitchen and make their own meals. I just didn't like it. So my dad would drop us at home, but he won't come. He'll just drop us at the gate and go because he had to rush back to work. And then it'll be on me to make a lunch for the kids, get them ready. And I just didn't like not having a parent at home. So I used to tell my mom then that whatever I do, I want to do a job or whatever, a business where my kids come home and I'm home and I'm there to attend all their activities. And I didn't want to be like an absent parent. I wanted to be as present as possible. And so when I stopped working and I was home and I thought, well, maybe this is the time to be as present as you want. You can be at home with the kids and all of that. But then Canada is a country where you can't really rely on one income. And anything can happen at any time. And this was at COVID. And so it was 2020-ish, I think or 2021. I'm not sure of the timeline. I think it was 2021 because we're all home from COVID. When was COVID?
2020.
Yeah. So I was home and then my mom sent me stuff from Nigeria. She sent fish and it was too much. So I thought, you know what? Let me try putting this thing on Facebook Marketplace and see if anyone will purchase. And I did. And people bought it. Okay. There must be something here. So I ordered more.
Okay.
And this time I split it between, my sister also lives here, split it between myself and my sister. So she had people pick up from her and I had people pick up from me. It sold out. And then people will say things like, so it was catfish. And people will say things like, do you have panla? I didn't even know what panla was. I'm like, okay, hi, my supplier, what is panla? Do you have it? She say, yes, I have panla. I'm like, send it to me. And I put it on and then people will buy it. I'm like, okay. And then my mom sent me crayfish. I put them into like little pouches and I put it on groups. And I'm like, I have crayfish and people bought them like, okay.
You're like, there's a
business.
So real quick, before we get into it, I'm curious, was the cost of shipping and everything like that, because they were shipping from Nigeria, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so all of that was still worth it. Like it was still offsetting. Like people were paying. I love it.
And that was it. I just kept adding products. Yeah. So I went on Instagram and at the time I didn't see anybody else who had like what's it called?
An African
store online. I found out later, so maybe my research wasn't that deep, but then at the time I didn't see it. So I thought there's a market for this. And I had purchased stuff from people who sold from home. And a lot of times they pack their things in like Ziploc bags or just looking very unattractive. And I was like, you know what? And I've read about what people think about African food. And the first thing they say is unattractive. The first thing they say, oh, it's yucky. Oh, African food is too messy. And I know that our food is not messy and our food is not unattractive. And I think we have one of the best cuisines in the world. And, and I thought, how do I rebrand African food in a way that it looks good, both to the people purchasing and to non-Nigerians? I've had people, non-Nigerians, say, oh, I want a pack of chin-chin just because of how it's packaged. And so I went and I got packaging and I started to package and I made my own label, and it's just been growing from there. And that was it. I just kept adding products. And so I'm lazy. I've always been lazy. I don't like cooking. So the kind of things I sell are things that help lazy people like me. So we have things like already blended crayfish packaged, sieved and packaged, so that when you need to cook, you just put a teaspoonful. I found out what are the things that people like to eat. So Yorubas like to eat ayamashe, the sauce, and and I'm like, it's a very tedious process to cook it. So I said to someone, can you make the base for me? I just want the base. Don't worry about the soup. So I sell the base. All you do is open it, throw it in a pot. So things that make my own life easy.
That's amazing.
Are the things
I'm totally gonna buy some from you and pretend to my mom that I made it.
We just introduced like jollof rice base now. So your tomato base, you just throw it in your pot and you cook. So things that make my life easy are things that I also post to sell, because I know that I cannot be the only lazy cook in the world.
In Canada. Especially in Canada, where you don't have help.
You don't have time. You don't have
time. Every hour is very important for you, like, to do other stuff. Yeah. And like back home, I know I used to have help, and all I need to do is, please cut some pepper for me, or blend up this for me, and then I'll just go into the kitchen and cook everything, and then they'll wash all the pots and everything for me. But here, you do everything yourself. So that
sounds amazing.
That's very, very handy. And then speaking of being lazy, because you mentioned that you're lazy, like, are there some days where you're like, I'm so tired, I don't want to do anything? And because you've had several calls even coming here, like, are there some days where you just feel like, I'm not motivated to do anything today?
Yeah, lots of times.
And how do you cope with that?
Well, I just talk to myself, and I tell myself, I've put in a lot of work. I've put in 2 years worth of work into this business. Do I really want to see it fail? If I close up, it's because I want to, not because on one lazy day I decided not to, or because I did something wrong to a customer and I got bad press. The day I decide to close will be because I choose to move on to something else, right? Not because of a mistake I made or anything. So when customers, there was a time I was having a really bad day, and I think I made a mistake in the customer's order, and she sent me a text and she said, oh, purchasing from you is so stressful. I looked at my phone that day and I wept, and I said, if only this girl knows how bad I was already feeling from something else and how close to the edge I was, she wouldn't have sent me this mail. Like, she could have sent me the message, but she didn't have to say it like that, right? And I looked at her and I'm like, I'm going to close. Nobody should be able to talk to me like this, because, like, what did I do, really? Do you understand? What did I do? But I turned off the phone and I closed my eye, and I said, I have a way of talking to God. I talked to him like he's right there. So, and I said, God, if you really want me to continue, I said, somebody's stressing your child. If you really want me to continue this business, when I wake up, let something happen that will motivate me to continue. Right now I'm broken, I'm in pieces, and I am done. So I turned off my phone and I slept. Okay. And then I woke up and I turned on my phone. And then after a few minutes, all the messages started, and there was this message. Somebody said, I received my order. This is my first time of purchasing from you. Your customer service is, I posted on my page, so your customer service is superb. Your items are amazing. I will never purchase from anywhere again.
Nice.
And I looked at that message and I said, God, I thank you for such an immediate response to the amount of pain. I posted it that day and I said, if only this person understood what she did to me when she posted that review. She didn't know. Like, I didn't say it, I just told her thank you. But I put the phone on my chest and I said, thank you, God, because that was like a direct message. So when I feel broken like that, sometimes reviews come in and make me feel better. Or when my kids say to me, oh, my mom sells the whole world. And I know that I'm not built to fail.
Yeah. You can listen to the rest of this conversation by searching The Diary of a Niger Immigrant on cgsw.com. or wherever you get your podcasts. Diary of a Niger Immigrant is presented by Afros in the City in collaboration with Through Onyi's Lens.
You can keep up with us on Instagram by following Afros in the City, following Through Onyi's Lens, and of course, following Diary of a Niger Immigrant. Once you've done all that, just keep listening. Rate us, review us, love us, root for us. Until next time.